Welcome back to the Get Sculpted podcast. It is Coach Marilynn here, and I am so excited about today's episode. It is a really special one because I have an amazing guest here with me today who's actually been a very important part of our fitness story and our community over the years. I'm joined by none other than Marc Lebert. Marc is a Canadian fitness innovator. He's an entrepreneur, an educator, and the founder of Lebert Fitness. He has spent decades helping people build strength, move better, and train in a way that is effective, accessible, and empowering. He is also the creator of some incredible fitness tools like the Lebert Equalizer and my personal favorite, the Lebert Resistance Bar, which is used by trainers, gyms, and performance spaces around the world. I have seen them. I can attest to that. Even in Europe, I've seen them. We have had the chance as Get Sculpted coaches to learn from Marc. We've trained with him. We use his equipment regularly. So do our clients. And we actually even host events in his amazing space. So this conversation feels especially meaningful for me. But what I'm really excited about is that this conversation is going to go beyond just fitness because yes, Marc has decades of experience in the fitness industry, but he has a deep background in mindset work, self-image, behavior change, and neuro-linguistic programming, also known as NLP. And I think this is an important conversation because so many women are trying to create physical change, but they're still battling the same internal patterns and beliefs that are keeping them stuck. So one of the things that Marc talks about is how a person's fitness level is shaped by how they see themselves. So if you see yourself as fit, healthy, and capable, that internal picture is going to influence the actions you take and the standards you hold. But if your self-image doesn't change, it can be really hard for lasting change to stick. So today we're talking about why change can feel so hard, even when you really want it, why willpower is often not enough, what NLP actually is, and how your self-image may be shaping more of your results than you realize. So after all that, without further ado, Marc, welcome to the Get Sculpted podcast. I'm so excited that you're here with us. For anyone in our audience who's meeting you for the first time, why don't you start by just telling us a bit about the work you do?
Wow. It's a little bit of everything, really. I started out, in the fitness business when I graduated from university, I had two job offers. One was to work at Square One Security. Yeah. I was going to be Paul Blart, Mall Cop. But they didn't have segways. So I picked the other job offer I had that day, which was a small fitness club by the airport called Curzon's. And for $8.25 an hour, I vacuumed, folded towels, and did access control and signed up members and watched the gym floor. And that's kind of where I cut my teeth. And from there, I just started training people. Yeah, it's wild, eh?
I had no idea.
It's many years ago. When you said I've been in the business a while, you basically are just saying he's old.
No, it's experience. You've got lots of experience.
Mature.
I love that.
That's
so
right.
Yeah, you've definitely been in the space for a long time. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I went from there to just training people in their homes. And then I went from there to developing a piece of fitness equipment that I launched and brought to market. And then from there to the club space. So done just about everything and still, have my hand in teaching classes and personal training and running the business. So lots of fun stuff.
I love it. And so, it has been years. You've got such an incredible story. What has kept you passionate about fitness and movement and helping people? Because all these years later, you're still so into it. So what's kept you passionate?
It's true. And I was just telling the story the other day about my dad who taught high school French for 35 years in the same classroom. And I asked him that question one day. I'm like, how on earth could you possibly be in the same? That's a long haul. And he loved people and personalities, and he loved coaching and teaching. So every semester was new. Same here, new members, new personal training clients, new adventures with the fitness product. So just always, enjoying, working with people.
Yeah. I love that. And that's kind of what brought us together. So that's the thing. These experiences are amazing. So, okay. I love that. I want to go a little bit deeper now about like NLP and mindset and personal development work, because you've got the fitness side, the physical side, but how did that become part of your path?
Yeah, it's an interesting story because I think, the saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I was training a client one day and she had this pamphlet and it was to take an NLP course. If she would have showed that to me 5 years earlier, I'd probably not been open to it. But I was like, that's really interesting. That's 25 years ago. And at the time it was like $2,500, something like that. And I'm like, I can't afford it. So I was telling all my clients about it. And I really want to take this. I think it'll make me a better trainer. And one day I'm just in the gym, just shooting hoops. They had a basketball court at one of the pharmaceutical companies I worked at. And all my clients came in at the same time. And, they handed me a card. Inside the card was a check for the price of the course. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Just I still get the feels from that.
That
And
is so amazing.
isn't that awesome? Yeah, I still have the card today. Yeah, it's in my office, hanging up on the wall.
I love that.
And what's really interesting is that, yeah, what I thought the course was going to be to make me a better trainer, it was really what I learned was it was all about kind of like, I'm not going to be able to teach anybody in the weight room if I don't spend time in the trenches. So the course was more about just dealing with my own stuff and working on my own behaviors and internal dialogue and limiting beliefs and all these things. And it was fantastic. So yeah, I took that NLP course so many years ago, fell in love with kind of like the study of NLP and using it to coach clients and run seminars. So yeah, it was quite the journey.
Okay, I've known you for a while. That's the first time I've heard that story. That's so beautiful. I love that so much. And you're so right. They knew that you were ready for it and the opportunity was there. I love that. We were having a recent conversation and you actually said something that really stayed with me that I wanted to kind of talk about. You said that most people will continually do what they've always done. So I want to dig into that because I think it's a really powerful way to describe why people get stuck. So let's unpack that a little bit. What did you mean when you said that people continuously do what they've always done?
Yeah, I think it's a really simple and powerful statement. Most people will continually do what they've always done. And if you just sit back and digest that a bit and think about it, it's like, how do I interact with people? What are the things that I do on a regular that I seem to just do remotely and don't really put much thought or effort into it? And if you go back a little further, if you look at the conscious mind is what we're thinking about, what we're taking in through our senses. You know, if I direct your conscious attention to the feeling of your butt on the chair, you're like, oh, my conscious mind's thinking about my butt on the chair.
Right.
And all these things that we take in through conscious mind create unconscious programs. Okay. And these programs are written so that we don't have to do things every day over and over again. For example, you don't wake up in the morning and have to learn how to brush your teeth again. It's just an unconscious program. And as powerful as that tool is, it's also it can override almost everything so that we just remotely do things without giving it any conscious attention. And we can't do programs unless we get out of the ones we're currently running on. So the idea behind people generally do what they've always done.
Right. So it's that like people are going to struggle because it's this autopilot that they're on. That's so true.
And if they're on autopilot, in order to make a change, we need to put a brake and change the programming. So it's not like it's nose to the grindstone. It's not like it's willpower, because willpower can't be used as a crutch to the same old programs. We have to rewrite the programs, and that takes conscious attention. One of the best ways you can simply shift your conscious attention is to be present. Take a deep breath, right? And just open up your vision and open up your mind and open up your attention. And we don't do that during the day. Think about the last time you just took a deep breath. You know, it's such a relaxing and rewarding feeling, but also gives us a moment to contemplate, what loop am I in right now? And what do I need to change that?
That's a really good point. I remember I was working with a breathwork coach that we had on our team. And she actually said, it's amazing how many people don't know how to breathe, because like, it's just like an automatic response that our body has, but we don't give much thought to it. But it can be one of the single most grounding practices that we do, is to just stop and breathe to get out of that autopilot loop. So I think that's really, really important. Okay, this is a kind of another area I want to go to, because for a lot of women that we work with, life is very full. Like they're very stressed, they're very overwhelmed, and they almost never slow down long enough to be able to do this, to actually notice what's going on. So do you think stress and overwhelm make this even worse? Like when we're living in autopilot?
100%. And a lot of times when, you know, there's people that want to incorporate fitness in their life because they know for their health and well-being, it's really important to add something else, but just it's overwhelming thinking about adding something else. So maybe we can do a little addition by subtraction, right? So rather than adding anything, why don't we just slow down once in a while and just breathe? Just breathe. That right there is going to give us a chance to ground, like you said. Most of us habitually breathe high in the chest, right?
Yeah.
And stress breathe. So just relaxing our breathing will give us a moment to A, relax, and B, get a little more energy, and C, open up eventually an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to add something else. But just stop doing
Yeah.
too much and just breathe. And that's really
Yeah.
where, if you have control of your breath, you have control of your life.
Mm-hmm. We actually we've used this technique to help some of our clients with that like emotional eating and cravings because again there's a lot of places on a fitness journey where and in life where autopilot takes over and having them just take that pause even if it's for 30 60 seconds to just breathe and create a pattern interrupt so that way it kind of interrupts the pattern of like I want the food, I eat the food. And a lot of them have said to us how powerful that is and they didn't even realize that they were on autopilot. So slowing things down, absolutely, it plays a huge role in how successful you are. So I think this kind of segues into a really good place I want to go next, which is a deeper conversation about NLP. Because for a lot of people listening, they may have never even heard the term before, or they've heard it and don't actually know what it's all about. So let's start simple. Can you maybe tell us if someone's never heard of NLP or wants to know more about it, what is it exactly?
So NLP is an acronym for Neuro Linguistic Programming. So neuro, the neurological system, programming, linguistic, like the
Mm-hmm.
language that we use, which is very powerful. And sometimes we don't give it much thought. And also
Right.
our internal dialogue and the programming. And the programming, is kind of what we were focused on a bit earlier there. Just we're constantly running on a series of unconscious programs that were written and will
Mm-hmm.
always kind of run the show if we don't change them. Almost like, I'm going to show my age here, the floppy disk in the computer. You take it
I
out and
know
put
what
a
that
different
is.
one in, run a different program. Neurolinguistic, yeah. Neuro-linguistic programming was created by two gentlemen who did a deep dive into studying some of the best psychologists and the best therapists in the world and why are they getting better results than other therapists? Why are their patients getting better results? So they really created a series of rules, a series of techniques that revolved around that. So it was just basically modeling and
Right.
finding out how these things work. And what's really interesting is that most of these things, when you have a little bit more understanding of, how the mind works, and you have a little bit more understanding of things like you were just talking about gap control, just consciously giving yourself a moment to see if that's really something that's important to you or not. So patience and time and all these things that we start to incorporate is really what NLP is about. It doesn't have to be anything formal. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to sit
Right.
down
Right.
and talk about my life is and relive all that past trauma.
Right.
Physically, not that stuff's not important, but sometimes it's just counterproductive to focus on it. And we can
Right.
shrink that down and open up a little more of a story of a movie around where we want to go.
Okay. I love that. So then, I mean, this is actually a perfect segue as well. How then do you feel NLP connects to like fitness, health, and behavior change? Speaking specifically to the type of people, to the women who we work with, let's say.
Right. Yeah. And again, it just works for every area of your life. So whether your goals
Yeah.
are fitness, weight loss, relationships, making more money, your work-life balance, you can use it for all of these things. And I believe that, most of the people that I've trained over the years, they have
Mm-hmm.
goals to lose weight, basically, is
Right.
what most
Right.
people are
Yep.
looking to do. And unfortunately, the problem with that is that when you start to understand how the mind works, the mind is very literal. So when I say I want to lose
Mm-hmm.
weight, my mind instantly makes pictures of cellulite in the back of the legs or a beer gut. And for lack of any other directive or vision, your
Mm-hmm.
unconscious mind is going to seek out that as a result, right? So
Okay.
your mind doesn't work on negative. So if I get in a cab and the cab driver says, "Where do you want to go?" And I say, "Well, whatever you do, don't take me to the airport." And he's going to be like, "Well, where am I going to take this guy? I don't know,
Right.
not the
Right.
airport though." So he's going to go to the airport. It's the only directive he has. So when we say I want to lose weight, your mind can't make a picture of a weight. It can't make a picture of a lose, but it can make a picture. It can't make a picture of a lose, but it can make a picture of weight, right? So it doesn't
Okay.
work on negatives and it's very specific. So just little tricks like that are so powerful. And then if you look at like Weight Watchers,
Mm-hmm.
right? They did some NLP stuff, but even the name Weight Watchers means I'm always watching my weight. Instead, it could be Thin Gainers would be a way better
Right.
name. right? Language is so important. So we can
Languages.
call ourselves thin gainers. And then that becomes more of an internal picture. I'm getting to a certain point, not losing weight. Losing weight is the
Right.
worst thing you can say.
Right. Right.
Chasing something to lose, right? As opposed to
Mm-hmm.
gainers.
It's no, that's an interesting way of framing it. We talk about that internal dialogue, right? And self-belief and all of that. So kind of going in that direction, like the way someone talks to themselves or sees themselves, right? How do you feel that then influences what they do day to day?
Well, I mean, literally everything that you do is a direct result of what you're thinking. Your
Right.
results. So if I said to a trainer, how do you know what goals are? And it's really, the answer is really simple, by what they're doing.
Right.
And they might not know it, but the programs that they have and the way they're talking to themselves is just creating more of the same. So again, I'm not trying to weight, that I am fit, I am strong. You want to talk as if it already exists today. It sounds awful, but like you're just continually lying. You're lying to rewrite that self-conscious program, that self-image. So I am fit, I am strong, and then getting a lot of detail around it. These programs require a ton of, like I said, your conscious attention, your butt on the chair. So we have to write about it and think about it and talk about it in a way that is directly what you're trying to get, not what you're trying to avoid. Most people talk in one of two ways, what they're trying to avoid or what they currently have, but they're not talking, and by talking I mean internal dialogue as well, and writing things down about what is going to happen. So that is the key. That is where the real discipline takes place. It's not like you have to go struggle and strain in the gym nonstop. I'm going to want to do it when my self-image says that's the type of person I am.
Okay. So then, I mean, this kind of goes into I was going to ask about willpower, right? Like why people do rely on willpower, but they kind of keep stuck in the same patterns. It's not enough for lasting change, right? Because it's not really addressing what's inside.
Power wanes. It'll last 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, but it will wane. And the old self-conscious, the old images will always run the show. They take over. They almost like a little elbow in the ribs. Are you sure you want to do this? And you have to keep saying, yes, this is the direction I'm going now. So it's just staying consistent with the new messaging.
Okay. I love that. Yeah. Because the truth is a lot of people do rely on willpower, or that's what they feel they need. Like we've actually had clients say to us, like, I just don't have the motivation or the willpower. And you're right. That's a very external thing that comes and goes. In fact, I always say your willpower is not going to be there when you need it. It's especially not going to be there when you need it, right? It never feels like it is. So that's a really good point for our listeners.
Motivation is such an interesting word because a lot of people will say, I just need more motivation. Like I'm going to magically look under the couch pills and find it, like change and Cheetos. You're not going to just find motivation. Motivation just simply means that so again, most people will continually do what they always done unless they're sufficiently scared. So I just had a heart attack. I'm going to eat better, quit smoking, drink more water, start exercising regularly. And that's only short term. I used to train a cardiologist, and he had patients that luckily survived a heart attack, and then a week later were like back to the same old habits. So sufficiently scared, but the one who to get pulled is sufficiently excited. We have to get very excited about our vision, our dreams, and our goals. And that just requires discipline at staying on top of that vision and build that vision. You know what the most motivated person in the entire world is? The bride, because her vision is so strong and she built it up for so many years. I see the family there, and the dress I'm wearing, and everybody's watching me go down the aisle, and the flowers and the pageantry and the beauty, and to see her husband to be, and these amazing things. This is a vision that she's had for so long that if I train someone who's getting ready for the wedding, literally as soon as they slow down, I just have to hum, here comes the bride, here comes the bride. And they're like, blah, right? So that is the power behind proper internal storytelling.
I never thought of it that way, but that's very true, right? Because it's so tangible. That vision is so real. I love that analogy. There was something else you shared at one of the events that we collaborated on. And it's actually stayed with a lot of our clients. I think I mentioned this to you. We've had many clients repeat this, but you spoke about your own experience with body dysmorphia, which I think is super interesting in general, but also, I'll be honest, like as a male sharing that with our female fitness community, it was really powerful. So would you be open to sharing a little bit more about that experience?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know what got into me that day. What was I thinking?
It was great. You were great.
I think sometimes, women don't always understand that men have the same struggles when it comes to, the messaging that that's been put out there by the media. I have to look a certain way and I have to be muscular. If I don't get there, then that means I'm not worthy. All my self-worth on how big and strong I could get. In reality, what I started to do when I studied NLP and worked with my coach is that, loving your body, you start there first. It's not getting anywhere. So as soon as I started loving my body, I started doing the things necessary to make it healthier and stronger. But even more than that, what you're looking out of is what you're looking at. So when I started having self-love, and I looked in the mirror and go, oh, yeah, he looks pretty good. But before that, all I saw was a skinny wimp that would never amount to anything. It's interesting how it's just a simple shift like that can be so dramatic.
Totally. And do you feel like that experience of yours has changed the way you connect with people and coach people and teach people? Like how you relate to them?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, most people are experiencing that in some way. They don't love their body. In reality, that's 1000% where you need to start. If I say in a group fitness class, which I do once in a while, not very often, because they're there to train hard, not maybe have a lesson in psychology, but I'm like, who loves their body? Nobody puts up their hand, hardly anybody.
Wow.
Guys and girls. It's like, but it moves us. Yeah. And we're here on the planet doing such amazing things. And it gives us the ability to hug our kids. Like, honestly, it's funny how the messaging in the media has been so strong and captured us to buy things and do things in order to feel some self-worth, when in reality it's inherent already.
That's a good point. And it's interesting because a lot of people, I would say, are thinking they have to fix something physically, right? Like when they come to us. And honestly, Mark, it's the same with the clients that come to us. Like they come for the weight loss goal, or they come for the physical, which we get them. Trust me, we get them to their goals. But it is often something deeper. There's a struggle that's more emotional or, more mental, and that shapes their behaviors. So can you speak to that? How like the struggle might actually be an emotional struggle, but then it shapes their behaviors. How does that kind of factor in, that emotional struggle?
Yeah, no, it's so true. A lot of times people, for lack of having a lot of control over other aspects of their life, they think, if only I could beat my body into submission, then I'll be happy. And in reality, you'll get to a certain point and you'll still be like searching for that happiness, and that's an inside job. It's not something that comes from getting leaner or more fit. If that's truly your goal and that's part of an overarching kind of image that you have for yourself, then that's great. I mean, I feel happy that I'm disciplined and I feel happy doing my strength training and I feel happy working out. That's fine. But my happiness doesn't rely upon that. So yeah, there is a lot of emotional things that people need to address. And, to be perfectly honest, we can go right back to the beginning of this. Breathe and start to connect with your body. If we don't slow down and if we don't start to feel and unravel some of those emotions, no matter what we do, we're not going to be able to address that part of it. And addressing emotions is such an important part of our health, because holding the emotions in creates body tension, muscle tension, which not the kind of muscle tension you want. It creates bad habits. We hold it down with alcohol and food. So if you do want a fitness goal, you say you want a fitness goal, then addressing that emotional part of it will help you to get rid of a lot of your bad behaviors.
Yeah, so true. I think that's such an important reminder that a true transformation is never just physical. The mind and the body are so intricately connected that I believe you can't work on one without the other. And that's something that's like a pillar of Get Sculpted, is that it's a whole transformation. You're a whole person, mind, body, soul. So with that in mind, I want to bring it back to the woman who's listening right now who feels stuck, because a lot of our listeners, a lot of the women we work with, they do come to us and they feel very stuck. They feel like they fall back in the same patterns. Where would you tell them to start?
The first thing they should know is that they're not alone. We all feel stuck sometimes. And I think there's probably 2 or 3 things that are low-hanging fruit and have immediately and enormous kind of impact. First and foremost, take time during the day to breathe.
Yes.
Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Most of our brain runs on our visual system and we get absolutely exhausted. So some deep breathing, closing our eyes will give us a little bit more energy. We need energy to have conscious attention. It's really hard to stay consciously aware of what we're doing and building something new if we're exhausted, and the unconscious just runs. You've seen people walk through the grocery store and are not even aware of anything. You could just take their purse if you want, or just out of it, right? So breathe, physiology first, hydration. If you're tired, you're dehydrated, I can guarantee you electrolytes and salt and not just water. So breathing,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people get freaked out by meditation. I have time to add one more thing. It can be with your breathing. Just do a minute
Yeah.
a day, 2 minutes. And what I think is the most important, not just thinking about what our next vision, story, that pull, we have to write it down. So start writing.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I know that I've done some sessions with you and you talk about writing exercises being so powerful. So maybe talk to us a little bit about that. Why is that such a powerful part of this process?
I'm not sure exactly why it's so powerful, but I do know that a lot of us are kinesthetic people. Obviously, we're all kinesthetic, we move. Writing takes thoughts that are temporary and fleeting and makes them more permanent. It's almost like our antenna to the unconscious mind. So we can start get rid of it's very cathartic in a lot of ways, depending on writing. And B, we start to write down the details around how fit I am. So that is where the story starts. And then you just keep building on it. Every day you add a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And that's a good place, I think, to start because, it's all connected. Like, I feel like for myself, my brain's always running, right? It's like, even when I don't realize it, there's like that narrative constantly going on. And I love journaling and writing for this reason, because it allows me to kind of get out of my head into my body and out on paper. And also when you see it written down, it's staring back up at you. Like, it makes it more real, more tangible. So I love that. I love that. And I think all of these strategies that you've given, like the breathing, hydration, the writing, all of this gives people something that's doable, right? Instead of overwhelming, because change can be very overwhelming. And so I think that this is really, really helpful for our listeners. So if you could leave our listeners with one message about like change, self-image, or becoming more intentional, what would that message be for them?
I would say that you believe that it's possible. And what I mean by that is sometimes we hear this stuff and we go to AI and we say, what do I need to do? And it says, well, you
Yeah.
got to do 5 minutes and create a habit and all that stuff. The belief, I am the person who does this. So if you start writing every day, you're going to write about how great you are at writing every day. You're going to write
Right.
about, I'm really prioritizing protein every day. And that becomes, the more you practice that, rather than a full hour in the gym and beat yourself up with a high intensity interval training session, let's just start with a simple thing. Every
I
morning,
love that.
I get up, I do my check-in and my self-care, and every night before bed, I do it. This is non-negotiable. And then from there, you can build on, add a little bit during the day, work with you guys, and
Mm-hmm.
enhance your fitness levels. So just again, just and keep it simple. Keep it simple. I'm simple. Simple, stupid.
Yeah. I love that. And you know what? We love something practical that our listeners can take away. So that's something actual that they can start right now. Even if, like you said, it's like 60 seconds, even start with that. A practice in the morning, make it part of your self-care routine. We also talk about like a wind down routine at the end of the night before you go to bed. All of these things they're so practical and so applicable. So I love that. This was such a great conversation. I learned new things in this
Awesome.
conversation. So I want to thank you so much for being here and for sharing so openly. What I love about this conversation is that it really does bring us back to something very important, which is that lasting change is never just about the physical. It's not just about the workout plan or the nutrition plan or knowing what to do. It is about your vision, your self-image, how you see yourself. And like you said, it's about awareness. It's getting out of that autopilot and understanding the patterns and those internal stories that are showing up every day, shaping what you do. And I think for so many women listening, especially the ones who are frustrated that they keep ending up in the same place and they can't figure out why because they're trying to rely on willpower and motivation, this is super important, right? You don't need to push harder. We always say work smarter, not harder. Sometimes the real work is actually slowing down and becoming more aware and more intentional to see what's driving your behaviors. After listening to this episode, take that moment to reflect, start building that vision, see what's come up for you. Think about like, where are you running on autopilot? What old belief is maybe influencing your choices? And what would it look like to practice one small moment of conscious attention this week or even today? Marc, for our listeners who want to connect with you and learn more from you, because you are a wealth of knowledge, after this conversation, where can they find you? What's the best way to connect with you?
The easiest way is just on Instagram through @Lebert Fitness. You can reach me through you guys, of course. And I think, at some point,
Of
if we
course.
maybe do some coaching together, and maybe there's something up our sleeves. Who knows?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love collaborating with you. You're amazing. And our community adores you. So if this episode resonates with you, please share it with others. Because like I said, Marc is a wealth of knowledge and you always post such great content. And definitely send us a message because we can connect you with Marc as well. Marc, thank you very much for being here. A big, big thank you. So excited that you joined me today.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Awesome.
Love it.
Awesome. And we will catch you on the next episode of the Get Sculpted podcast. Take care. Bye.